the old cliche about preseason polls, it's not where you start, it's where you finish and all that stuff. And I've always thought it's kind of nice to get a little bit of interest going at the beginning of the season, but the reality is our preparation is just for us to be the best team that we can be coming into the season. It's not really that important to us where people think we're going to finish. Our goal, clearly, though, is to finish higher than 5th.
You have a lot of young players, a lot of new players on the team. How has that dynamic worked so far this early where players are just coming back together and getting things going?
Well, this is a group that we spent a lot of time recruiting, and some of our returning players got a chance to know during the recruiting process. So it's probably been a little easier than in some other years. And the new kids have brought a lot of energy into the gym, and the returning players, I think, have really matched that and welcomed them. And the energy's been really good the first couple of days.
Talk a little bit about the dynamic of switching over senior classes, where you have now pretty much a case of the new captains and new team leaders. Who has really stepped up in that leadership role the most?
Well, Emily Hepler and Nicole Brumbley are two players that have been with us. This is their 4th year. They've had the opportunity to play behind older players and see what it's like under that kind of leadership, and now they have an opportunity to step up and be leaders in their own right. But we're big believers that everybody can be a leader, and at certain times everybody's called on to lead in some way. And so that's why you often identify kind of 4-year players as your leaders. There's lots of opportunities for people to lead throughout the season.
Talk a little bit about, if you can, the very minor changes from a volleyball perspective to the conference with UPJ joining the Eastern Division. Thoughts on what they might bring and how that might be able to kind of balance out the schedule a little bit more?
Well, it makes it a much more competitive environment. You add another quality team to the division. It's 2 more tough matches that you have to play during the year, and then you've got another team in the other division that you've got to play. So it just makes a tough conference even tougher, but that's part of the fun and part of the challenge.
Talk a little bit, if you can, about the teams that were ranked ahead of you. We'll start things off with Shippensburg and Lockhaven, the division champions last year. Shippensburg ranked as the top team this year according to the preseason polls. What will those two teams bring as the biggest challenge?
Well, Shippensburg has a lot of talent coming back, and they were a very good team last year. Lockhaven probably lost more players to graduation last year than Shippensburg did, but they always do a good job of recruiting and bringing in good players, and I expect both of those teams to be good, but everybody in the division is solid. That's one of the great things about our conference is there's no nights off.
And if you can, just talk a little bit about some of the things outside of the conference. Early in September, able to have a home tournament here. The excitement for the players that early in the year to have a chance to be at home and host a tournament.
Yeah, and to get a lot of playing in early. We've tried to front load our schedule with some busy weekends to get a lot of matches in early, especially with a young team. We want to play as much as we can and get as much experience at this level, but also as a group before we get into the conference season. So those first 3 weeks are really important for us. Anything
you feel like that could be added that's going to be a big theme overall for the team this year that might go beyond necessarily what's going to be on the court, but maybe perhaps in the locker room?
We're just hoping that it's a big group with a lot of new faces, and how quickly we gel and how quickly we kind of buy into the system, and in just putting team goals ahead of individual goals will go a long way to determining how successful we are.